Good afternoon and good evening, wherever you may be. Thank you for joining us at the 55th IAPD Monthly Forum. I am Tomiko Dagan, the Senior Vice President of the Universal Peace Federation USA and the Program Coordinator for Interreligious Association for Peace and Development, in short, IAPD USA. IAPD is one of the associations of the Universal Peace Federation, which is a non-governmental organization that has a general consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. IAPD offers various programs such as this that bring together experts to examine the opportunities for improving relations in the Asia-Pacific region and beyond. IAPD Peace Forum provides track to diplomacy, which is known as a soft power. This involves engaging people to people in person and working towards peace, particularly reconciliation and unification on the Korean Peninsula. We are looking forward to this webinar series as a great opportunity to gain more knowledge about the issues and challenges and ultimately develop the courage and commitment to make the world a better place. I would now like to invite our today's program moderator, Dr. Michael Jenkins, the president of UPF North America. Dr. Jenkins, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Vice President Tomiko Duggan, I want to thank you for the Interreligious Association of Peace and Development. We just looked at the 270 programs you had for the Thursday prayer program. That's 5 years and 10 weeks without missing. And you're also always doing this wonderful program on Korea on Tuesdays. And I just want to thank you sincerely. The role of religious leaders is so central to bringing peace and understanding. Dialogue and friendship, and also sincere, genuine respect for what God is doing with brothers and sisters from other faiths and other cultures is really critical. It's so important that our founder, Dr. Hak Chan Moon, also created the American Clergy Leadership Conference. And then after that, she saw the need for Korea to have a Korean Clergy Leadership Conference. And finally, she developed the World Christian Leadership or World Clergy Leadership Conference. Really a beautiful development. Today, we have a very special treat. We're going to show the remarks of Dr. Yun Jung Hong, who's a dear friend of mine. He is the 24th president of the Korean Religions Association. And in Korea, it's an interfaith organization that has Christians, Jewish people, Buddhists, Hindus, Muslims. And you'd be surprised, Korea has all those great faith traditions. And it's really, really going to be good to hear from Dr. Yun Jung Hong. Let's go ahead and present his remarks now. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dear participants of the Interreligious Association for Peace and Development webinar, I would like to express my sincere gratitude for allowing me to report on the activities of Heavenly Korea in this meaningful IAPD webinar today. The Korean Religious Association is the first interreligious consultative body in South Korea that was founded in December 1965 by 6 religious denominations, including Christianity, Buddhism, Catholicism, and Confucianism. Previous presidents include the Buddhist monk Lee Neung-ga, Bishop No Ki-nam, and Pastor Kang Won-ryong, all of whom are the top religious leaders in South Korea. I was inaugurated as the 24th president on May 7th. The Korean Religious Association, which celebrates its 60th anniversary this year, has been carrying out various activities to develop into an interreligious consultative body through a new leap forward. Now, in preparation for the next 100 years, we plan to develop in one step further. From this perspective, I would like to organize the activities into two major categories. The first is a religious unity movement. The purpose of the religious unity movement is to increase the understanding of other religions, resolve conflicts between religions, and establish a spiritual foundation for a heavenly unified Korea that is a common task for the religious communities in Korea through interreligious movements. We are carrying out interfaith prayer meetings, KCLC prayer meetings, 임진각 peace prayer meetings, pilgrimages to holy sites of different denominations, working level meetings with the member of different denominations, and interfaith scholarship programs. The second is the religious peace movement. The purpose is to discover the role of religion in contributing to society, conduct common practice movements, discover common topics among religions, conduct seminars, and achieve peace among religions. For this purpose, we conduct academic seminars, visit to religious denominations, oversee training and exchanges, hold IAPD prayer meetings, and religious people's peace marches for a heavenly unified Korea. Today, through this IAPD webinar, I am breathing together with people of various religions and beliefs from all over the world, praying for peace and harmony for humanity and working together. I believe this moment itself is a great blessing from heaven. I would like to ask all of you to pray together, work together, and gather your sincere heart for a heavenly unified Korea and a heavenly unified world. Today, I would like to briefly report on the 2025 International Interreligious Prayer Meeting and the Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum entry ceremony that took place on April 12th and 13th. Approximately 1,000 religious clergy from over 15 denominations, including Christianity, Buddhism, and Islam from over 70 countries around the world participated in the event, praying and praising together. I believe that this event goes beyond a specific religious event and contains our collective aspirations for the universal ideal of one family under Heavenly Parent. It was a place to realize the ideals of religious peace, religious harmony, and absolute goodness toward heaven pursued by all religions beyond individual beliefs. First, I would like to share the meaning of the Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum entrance ceremony. The Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum entrance ceremony took place on April 13th. From the perspective of the Family Federation, Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum is a symbolic space where Heavenly Parent's dream is realized and Heaven's providence is completed. The Cheonil Sanctum is the most holy place, the holies of holies, and the main temple that welcomes Heavenly Parent on earth. It is the starting point where Heavenly Parent's will is completely settled and realized on earth, and it contains the meaning of Heavenly Parent's love being passed down to humanity. Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum is presented as a new starting point for world peace and unity for humanity. In this sense, Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum is a place of interreligious, international, and intercultural cooperation. Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum is a place for the implementation of the ideal of peace. Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum is a place for education and communication. This is a place where people from various religious, cultural, and national backgrounds gather together to seek a path of harmony for humanity to advance as one family. It will go beyond a mere religious temple and serve as a landmark that conveys universal values and a message of peace for humanity. Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum will be a model of the ideal world that true parents dreamed of, and a place of education for humanity to inherit true love through true parents' life and achievements, and will play a role in solving the world's difficult problems centered on Heavenly Parent. I would like to take this opportunity to share with you a part of the fervent prayer that Holy Mother Han, Dr. Hakja Hamun offered at the Cheonwongung Cheonil Sanctum entrance ceremony. I hope you can feel her fervent prayer in your heart. Heavenly Parent, Master of the universe and Creator, today we have finally reached this day after you have patiently endured and waited for 6,000 years due to the fall. Heavenly Parent, we thank you. We offer our profound gratitude and our humble apologies. Now you're truly the rightful master of this earth. From this day forward, Heavenly Parent, please embrace and love your children with all your heart. Through her prayer, Dr. Hak Jahan-moon expressed deep gratitude to Heavenly Parent while also confessing her feelings of endless regret. Although she devoted her entire life to the perfection of Heavenly Providence more than anyone else, she stood with an infinitely humble and lowly heart before Heavenly Parent. Please give a round of applause of deep gratitude to our Holy Mother Han, Mother of Peace, Dr. Hak Jahan-moon, who has walked this lonely path her entire life, thinking only of Heavenly Parent, and has done her best to invite Heavenly Parent to Chanwongung Chanyeol Sanctum. On April 12th, the 2025 International Interreligious Prayer Meeting was held with religious leaders from all over the world. It was a prayer meeting where religious leaders from around the world gathered with sincere heart to build spiritual foundation for the Chanwongung Chanyeol Sanctum entrance ceremony. Approximately 1,000 clergies from each denomination from the United States, Europe, South America, Asia, Africa, the Middle East, Japan, and Korea participated. ACLC, WCLC, and IAPD clergies from all over the world began their schedule on April 10th with the Cheongpyeong Chonshimon prayer. The prayer was fervent, it was earnest. They became one for Heavenly Unified Korea and prayed earnestly for the victory of the Chanwongung Chanyeol Sanctum entrance ceremony. I would like to take this opportunity to once again thank all the clergies who gathered their sincere heart together. Everyone gathered here has walked different paths. However, ultimately, we're moving forward the same destination, which is the happiness and peace of humanity. Although our religions are different, we all share the same desire to pursue truth, practice love, and create a better world. I believe that peace will come near us only when we cultivate awe toward heaven in our respective faith and practice love and sacrifice toward humanity. The Korean Religious Association, KCLC, and IAPD Korea will move forward more firmly toward the common goal of realizing the ideal of one family under Heavenly Parent by 2027. On May 7th, we visited the National Cemetery and did volunteer work with members of the Women's Religious Association, KCAC clergy, and local volunteer group. In this way, the Religious Association is faithfully fulfilling its role as the light and salt of society by promoting understanding and cooperation between religions. The Korean Religious Association will build a foundation for the realization of Heavenly Unified Korea and Heavenly Unified World through regular activities with leaders of various religious denominations every month. We will expand the monthly interfaith prayer meeting for Heavenly Unified Korea. We will visit various denominations to listen to the Word together and create a time to share grace. We will create a time to worship together and share the Word through the KCLC Interdenominational Church. We will operate regular peace and unification prayer meetings to carry out programs like DMC, Imjingak prayer meetings, Hyojong Cheonwon pilgrimage, and operate interfaith working level meetings every quarter. We will become a religious association that achieves together rather than being one-sided. I ask for all of IAPD clergies to please pray for our activities. May the blessings of heaven be upon you all and upon your families. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Hong. And we are just so honored that we could be there at the entrance ceremony of the Chanyeol Sanctum and the program there for religious leaders, as well as the World Summit. Our two panelists today, we're both there, and they're people of faith, and we're very honored to present them to you. We are focusing on Korea today because the Special World Summit has been held there several times in Seoul and in the Gapyeong district, where we saw those entrance ceremony. And it's just been a wonderful experience of bringing all faiths, all nations, all people, and even enemy countries and enemy uh, possible enemies of different faiths together. And it's a kind of a miraculous development that occurs. One person who's been asked by our founder, Dr. Hak Jahan Moon, to be able to bring North and South Korea together, to bring Israel and Palestine and all the faith communities in the Middle East together, is Mr. David Eaton. He's a composer, conductor, and producer. David has been the music director of the New York City Symphony since 1985 and has conducted numerous concerts with the orchestra at venues such as Carnegie Hall, the Lincoln Center for the Performing Arts, the United Nations, the Apollo Theater, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the Manhattan Center. From 2016 to 2024, he served as an artist in residence in South Korea, as the director of music at the Hyojeong Cultural Foundation and conductor of the newly formed Hyojeong Youth Orchestra. He has appeared as a guest conductor with orchestras in Europe, Canada, Asia, Israel, Russia, Central and South America, and the United States. In addition to his conducting career, Mr. Eaton has been a prolific composer, arranger, and producer with 90 original compositions and over 900 original songs and arrangements to his credit. He is also the author of a recently published book, What Music Tells Me: Beauty, Truth, Goodness, and Our Cultural Inheritance. There's been some very strong reports in the media about his work. The New York City Symphony is an excellent, and its excellent conductor, David Eaton, served this piece honorably, carefully, and with sympathetic performances. That's the New York Times. The New York Daily News said the New York City Symphony, rest assured it's a very good one, and proved Monday under the music director, David Eaton. Its tone was solid, its intonation right on the button, and virtuosity no problem. Rousing performances, most eloquent and beautifully performed. Also, the New York Daily News, the New York City Symphony Orchestra at Lincoln Center, Alice Tully Hall. The alert performances conducted by music director David Eaton were virtually flawless. And finally, give credit where credit is due. Reverend Sung Myung Moon's International Cultural Foundation has helped the New York City Symphony become one of America's finest orchestras. The New York City Symphony played at Carnegie Hall apparently for the first time in its 63-year history and gave outstanding performances under its alert music director, David Eaton. Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you today for our panel, Mr. David Eaton. Welcome, David.
Thank you, Dr. Jenkins. Thank you, Tomoko, and to all the folks here who have gathered to share a bit here. And Dr. Jenkins mentioned my new book, What Music Tells Me: Beauty, Truth, Goodness, and Our Cultural Inheritance. And a central narrative of the book is the importance of art and culture in helping to create a culture of peace. And I begin the book with a quote by the renowned American composer Leonard Bernstein. And Bernstein says this, he says, art cannot change events, but it can change people. It can affect people so they are changed, because people are changed by art, enriched, ennobled, encouraged. They can act in a way that may affect the course of events by the way they vote, the way they behave, and the way they think. So this speaks to the power of art and beauty in general, whether it's the beauty of nature or the beauty of art, as a transformational agent. We're all affected by beauty, and hopefully, and usually in positive ways, right? So art and music can play a role in helping us to have transformational understandings about many things. And that quote echoes or is echoed very directly by our founder, Dr. Hak Jahan, who says in her memoir, she says, people often think that politics moves the world, but that is not the case. It is art and culture that move the world. It is affection, not reason, that strikes people in their innermost being. When hearts become receptive and are able to receive new things, ideologies and social regimes can change. Once again, this is a testimony to the transformational power of art and beauty. And in my area of music, there's been a great history and tradition of art and culture as being transformational. And as I was researching my book, I began to look at the cultures of antiquity, specifically China, the Greek culture, the Hebrew culture, the early Christian culture, whether it was Confucius in China or Aristotle and Plato in Greece or St. Augustine or Thomas Aquinas in Christian culture. They all had very similar ideas about the transformational power of art and music. This idea was a universal idea. It had universal acceptance. And the question becomes then for artists, once you know you have this ability to use your art, your music to help transform society, you have a certain power. So the question becomes, how do you use that power, right? It's a moral issue. And that's the goodness aspect of my book, the truth, beauty, and goodness aspect, okay, the moral aspect. And I went back, I'm gonna share just two quick quotes from Confucius and also Lu Bouvet, who was a Chinese politician who lived a few hundred years after Confucius. And this is a quote by Lu Bouvet, which is often attributed to Confucius, but I found it's not Confucius. He said, the will of a people living in a certain area can be known by examining the customs prevailing there, and their views can be known by examining their will. Whether a state will become prosperous or face its downfall, whether its sovereign and its leaders are sensible or unworthy, and whether a person is honorable or corrupt, can all be known by the music they enjoy. So that's a very powerful statement about the power of art and music in shaping individual attitudes, but more collectively, the society, right? So I want to share two short stories here and a video with regard to how in our circle, our Family Federation Circle and the Universal Peace Federation Circle, we have several artists who've tried to use or use their music in very powerful ways to try to bring about some kind of change in developing a culture of peace. And so EJ Rapada, I have a couple of photos there. Some of you know, or maybe many of you know, our wonderful Japanese singer Seiko Lee. Seiko's a beautiful soprano. Her husband was Korean, but she had the occasion to travel to North Korea on 4 different occasions to do concerts there. And I think I have a few photos here. This is in Seiko in North Korea. This was between 2005 and 2008. And she sang with the Korean National Symphony Orchestra there. And one of the occasions it was a birthday celebration or an anniversary celebration of Kim Il-sung's birthday. And there was a vocal contest. And there were different vocalists who were in the contest. And Seiko sang a North Korean song very beautifully, and she won first place in the contest. The North Korean people were so moved that this Japanese woman would learn one of their songs, sing it in Korean, and sing it so beautifully that she won the prize. It really moved their hearts that someone from the so-called enemy nation would embrace their culture, right? So it's very powerful. Next photo. So this is part of Seiko's initiative. She has a program called Building Bridges Through Music. And she's been very active in her career to promote peace, unity, harmony through her art, through her testimony. And she's a great singer. Those of you who know, this was with the North Korean Orchestra. This is 2006. So again, it speaks to the power of art and music to help us transform barriers. Now, this photo here, I want to reference, this is an orchestra called the West Eastern Divan Orchestra. It was formed in 1999 by Daniel Barenboim, who's the conductor there, and his partner, Edward Said. And this orchestra is comprised of young professional musicians from Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Syria, and Lebanon. They come together every summer to rehearse and they go on tour. And it's an attempt to use music as a way to bring harmony between these, what we might consider enemy nations or enemy cultures, right? But the power of music, especially classical music, where there's in an orchestra, you're working together for a common cause. And Barenboim was asked one time, do you consider your orchestra a peace orchestra? And he said, no, that's very flattering, but we're not a peace orchestra. We're an anti-ignorance orchestra. And his point was that by these kids coming together, these young professionals are getting to know each other, that through their give and take and through making music together, they can get beyond the ignorant things that kind of keep them apart. Again, this is the power of art and music to be able to help us get beyond the things that normally would separate us. And so Barenboim, he's in his 80s now, and but this orchestra has been getting together every year since 1999 and touring with the idea that we can make music together and get through the difficulties we may have with each other through our give and take, and united in a common cause. And the particular cause here is making great music together. Okay, so this, and then I should reference this. Back in 2004, we had the opportunity to meet this Israeli singer, David Dior, who's one of the most highly regarded Israeli singers in Israel. He's sung for many of the leaders there, many presidents. He sung at the Vatican 5 different times for various popes. Highly regarded singer. And we worked with him. We met him in 2004 at one of the Middle East Peace Initiative programs. He sang a beautiful concert promoting interfaith harmony there in Israel. This was in Jerusalem at the Jerusalem Convention Center. After the concert, he approached me with the idea of doing some music together. He wanted to write music together based on the concept of the Abrahamic faiths coming together, and specifically the theme of peace, shalom, salam alaikum. These were the greetings of peace in English, Hebrew, and of course, Arabic. So we composed a large-scale composition called Hallelujah, Songs of David. We recorded a CD of the music in Tel Aviv. This was also in 2006. Seiko Lee was also there. And after we recorded the music, David was able to work out several programs in Europe where we went to perform this music with full orchestra and choir on a number of occasions in Europe. We've done the music in Taiwan. We've done the music in Vietnam. We did the music in Cyprus. I did 2 excerpts of the Hallelujah music at the United Nations in recent years. So it's our attempt to use music and art and culture as a way to build bridges and overcome the divisions that might normally keep us apart. So we have a brief excerpt of one of the performances of Hallelujah. This was in Belgrade, Serbia. This was the world premiere. And David, you'll see David and Seiko and myself. And here it goes.
Bravo, bravo.
Yes, so that was our effort to try to bring some harmony and peace between the three Abrahamic faiths. And I know that's a big topic today, but also the North Korea situation, Seiko's efforts in North Korea is all part of the efforts of the IAACP, the International Arts Association for Culture and Peace, which our founder, Dr. Hak Jahan, has recently initiated with the hopes of getting more artists to participate in this endeavor. So thank you to Dr. Jenkins, Tomoko, and all those who are here today for giving me the opportunity to share a bit about that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Toda. Shukran. Thank you, David. It brings tears to our eyes when I think about how we went to the Middle East and you came with us, David, more from the religious perspective to bring people together through having fellowship and speakers from the three Abrahamic faiths and doing things together. But we together, God gave us a blessing of meeting David Dorr, and you've developed it to a worldwide presence. We honor you. We thank you, and we're glad you're going to lead the International Association for Culture and Arts for Peace. Please lead us on. Lead us on.
My pleasure.
Thank you. Our next presenter and panelist is a dear friend, Rabbi Michael Shivak. Rabbi Michael is really relentless in his interreligious dialogue for 35 years. He's the author of books, including his latest, The Six Fix, Spiritual Health Care for a Stranger. Oh, I'm sorry, Spiritual Health Care for a Stronger America. Rabbi Shivak is the founder of the Alliance for Enlightened Judaism. He is socially responsible officer for the Patent Foundation in the U.S. and the Patent Alliance around the world. Rabbi Michael was just appointed a trustee for the United Religions Initiative. He's taught comparative religion and spirituality in the School of Social Welfare at Stony Brook University and business spirituality at the Iacocca Institute for Global Entrepreneurship at Lehigh University. He's lectured in universities and places of worship around the world. We were so honored to have him with us and also helping lead the process of bringing all people together in Korea in April. Welcome, Rabbi Michael Shivak.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I don't honestly know where to begin because David sidetracked me because we had been involved in using the arts for healing for a long time with the Patenstiftung. And we have had Israelis and Palestinians writing musical pieces together and afterwards declaring that it's impossible to imagine killing someone that you wrote a composition with. And we put on plays at Burkina Faso and taking, it's not music, of course, but we've taken plays and taken the conflicts in the countries and have them work it out through plays that have inner conflicts on the inside of the dialogue. This is an incredible field. David, thank you so much for what you're doing. It is really, it can't be overestimated because not everyone can approach these subjects through their heads, and the politics gets my mother for supporting this because this is truly a righteous project. I have a bunch of thoughts, and I have been grieving the world. I've been grieving the world and what's been going on in Gaza and what's been going on in Ukraine and what goes on in Korea and everywhere. I grieve the world, but then out of that grief, you have the most extraordinary material prayer. I don't know how else to describe it. We're sitting here praying and we're playing music and we think of this as prayer, but do we realize that prayer is a force? It is real. It is a vector. Okay. It has power. It has direction. And there are many expressions of prayer, but I must tell you, in April, I experienced probably the most powerful form of prayer that I've ever seen organized, which is the Chanwang Gong and the Chanwang Sanctuary. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Korean is a new language for me. That is a material prayer. It is a mother's womb that encloses all of us in it as brothers and sisters drinking of the same food supply. It was beyond anything. My grief was pulverized. It was pulverized. It could not handle the material power of the prayer of that sanctuary. So I just want to begin by saying, if there are other people out there who are grieving, grieve not. Okay? There are material prayers that can help. They are the medicine for our hearts. They are themselves music built in marble. And they enclose us and they enwomb us and they make us feel that we are truly loved. And I must tell you, I was listening, one humankind under heavenly parent. Okay, I'm Jewish and I might use different language, like V'yirach Adonai et ha'adam b'tzalmo b'tselem, that God would create the man in his own image, in his own likeness. And I would use different language, of course. I'm indoctrinated differently. But it's, I'm in. I'm in. You know what I mean? It's I'm in. It's my campaign. It's my people's campaign. And change the language, but my heart is there. And I must tell you, that verse is so fascinating because when Jews pray, they oftentimes pray through the traditional liturgy, and they would pronounce it Yivarech Adonai, meaning Lord, and they would use that so that Yud He Vav He, the Tetragrammaton, and the term for God in the first chapter of Genesis, which is Elohim, they kind of merge. But the beautiful thing about that, and it's one humankind under heavenly parent, not a father, not a mother. The word Elohim is a collective noun. Okay, it's a collective noun that takes a singular verb. Okay, it includes the images of men, the likenesses of men, the images of women, and the likenesses of women co-equally. And in that regard, I also want to say that the very daring reverence that people have for the only begotten mother, in only begotten daughter, is so extraordinary because in Hebrew, the word for son and daughter come from the same root, which means to build up. So when you have such a daring assertion by other Christian standards, and you are claiming an authority for the God that is the multiplicity, that is a multiplicity of faces and images, all as one and acting in a singular force. Okay, that daughterhood means to be building up. It is powerful, and it needs to be recognized, however odd it may seem to other different Christian denominations. And I say that respectfully. Okay, because one humankind under heavenly parent needs to be built up. And I, for one, am delighted to have an only begotten daughter, hard at the task. I just want to say that. Okay. Um, The Chanwanggung experience is not easy to put into words. It's like Moses having to take off his shoes and stand barefoot because the ground is holy. The ground is holy. You can feel the holiness. It's an extraordinary feeling. And what I want to point out is that, you know, there are many different sites in the world where there are conflict. But there is something about Korea and the DMZ that is, for me, it's another Israel. It is paradigmatic, not of its own conflict, but it is paradigmatic of all human conflict. It is not simply a localized Korean experience. Korea is a paradigm. You have, as I've written in a separate letter, you have the excesses of capitalism in the West is so excessive, it spawns an absurd perversion of thinking, which is communism and excessive state control that's added in by Lenin. This gets exported back to the East to handle problems with imperial China. You have mixed into Korea, you have the first time American hegemony, which was difficult to involve us in Europe in the first place. It was something that was not the American tradition to be involved in foreign wars. World War I tested it, World War II tested it, and now we had American hegemony entering into something in Southeast Asia. This was unheard of. You have enormous proxy wars of competing ideologies that took place in Korea, where it wasn't just the Korean people who were dealing with their own differences and their own pains. There was massive interference by ideological machines, okay? And then we're all dealing with the power of this fiction. It is a fiction. It's a political fiction called the state. A state is not a nation. And here I am Orthodox Jewish in this sense. A nation includes the blood, it includes the genes, it includes the history and the living organic nuances. It's not a political entity. And the idea that salvation will come from a state is one of the more ridiculous ideas in all theology. And I don't care who, whether it's American exceptionalism, Israeli exceptionalism, North or South Korea exceptionalism, or any exceptionalism of any time, the concept of state as the unit of salvation is incredibly perverted. So to have a sacred holy site that is inviting 1,000 clergy, not that we're particularly better human beings, believe me, we're not. We wake up every day and we put our pants on, okay, and make mistakes. But to have sacred territory that transcends North and South, regardless of where it's located, that is welcoming to every single person, even if they are warring amongst each other, to welcome them, to enwomb them. This is a material prayer that is shooting arrows of peace into everyone's heart. What is going on in Korea is a condensation of the sins of this world. It is a condensation, and that DMZ is not a DMZ. Okay, I want to say that DMZ is exactly what Father Moon speaks about in the Divine Principle, which I'm on my second reading of, and I am enjoying it. It's luminous. It's delicious and luminous. That is the fall. That line is the fall. It represents the fall. It is every single folly of politics and human self-hatred woven into that. And the Changwon stands there in brilliant, gleaming defiance of that fall of humanity. So I want to say that Korea, to me, is a test, just like Israel is a test, because there are so many thousands of years that went into creating this DMZ, and this DMZ are the lines in our hearts that we can't reconcile. They're the confusions in our minds that we can't reconcile. And it cannot be reconciled unless there is a supernatural intervention. It requires, and I don't mean spooky or superstitious, I mean a supernatural, from the Greek, beyond mere earthly nature, calling on a power that is larger than the mere animal earthly, because we are not merely natural creatures. We are also supernatural creatures. And it requires a supernatural power. If Korea's history of three kingdoms that unite and then break apart and unite and break apart is like the history of Israel, that fallen trinity needs a purified trinity to bring those three kingdoms again and reconstitute the spirit of what Korea is. And it is not a Korean issue. It is a distillation of the sins and the travesties of human folly. So I have to want to get practical. Well, it's not practical. It's rather funny, because after the event, a couple of days later, I was woken up at 2:30 in the morning, and I had a vision. And this is the first time I am telling anyone what happened, because I just suddenly woke up out of bed, and I saw a tent, like a tabernacle, a gigantic tent right on the DMZ. And I saw a doorway to the north, and I saw a doorway to the south. And I saw it as a meeting place where people could meet their families on both sides, where people could enjoy a good meal, where the politics was kept second, and David, the music, would be playing very, very beautifully. And I had this vision, and I said, why can't we do it? Why can't we build a united Korea and begin it with a tiny tent that sits on the DMZ with an open door to the north and an open door to the south? To me, it is the natural outpost of the Changwon. Consider it an outpost. Now, how do you grow that? If we could create that tiny seed right on the DMZ, we would have to grow that. So I'm going to, give some practical guidelines, if you don't mind. Being Jewish, I'm considered in your scripture to be the root of your faith, which I'm very honored to be. And we are the root of sacred history. I can't deny that. Not the root of divinity. There were people before us, but historical religion and the salvation and the unification of all of the nations of the world and the freedoms of all the people directly under God. It's a campaign we know very well. Okay. And so, if you don't mind, as the root, okay, if you don't mind me speaking as the root, I would like to share some very simple Hebrew guidelines. So when that tent is opened on the DMC, how do we think? How do we approach each other? And the first principle I'd like to say is non-idolatry. We do not approach each other thinking that any one person can define the totality the totality of all, which is God's own being, that no person can completely 100% define it. And any idea we have is an idea that is subject to the qualification of God's own hand in creation and history. The principle of non-idolatry is essential. Idolatry, when you worship your own ideas, your own hands, produces conflict. This is ancient. Our scriptures are filled with example upon example upon example, and even pious religious people do it all the time, thinking that they are pure and hiding behind the skirts of their religion. Where there is practical advice too for this tent on the DMZ that woke me up at 2:30 in the morning. Where there is conflict, we must train ourselves to look for the missing knowledge, not fight. It's absurd. War is old-fashioned. It's silly at this stage in our development. Where there is conflict, there is missing knowledge. It always is missing knowledge. Can we get to the root of conflict, which is simply missing knowledge? If capitalists took their passion to an extreme and hurt social considerations and people, which spawned an opposite revolution that was attempting to control that which went to an extreme and then reduced freedom to a cinder, let's talk. It is obvious that capitalism without a social conscience is dangerous. It is obvious that social consciousness without the freedom of entrepreneurial delight is a poison. Talk to each other. Where there is conflict, there is missing knowledge. Do not worship your ideas as perfect. Number 3 is the emotional correspondence to non-idolatry and the seeking of knowledge or God in a conflict, which is humility. Let's admit we are people and we are not perfect. And we have pain, we have suffering, we have mistakes that we continuously make. I cannot believe that I'm even involved, as I said at my little speech at the Chang Wangong. I cannot even believe that I'm involved in peace because I'm so absolutely inept at it so many times, embarrassingly so. So that's 3, non-idolatry, seek knowledge when there's conflict, humility emotionally. 4 is tried and true, but it's not been interpreted properly. Turn the other cheek. It's in Proverbs as well. It has been misinterpreted as meaning offer your complete vulnerability to someone to shame their consciousness, which sometimes, by the way, does work, but its meaning has been distorted. To turn the other cheek means to approach someone in a different fashion than you are being approached, which is causing the pain. Turn the direction of it in the direction of the goal here. And the goal here is one humankind under Heavenly Parent. We have our compass is set. It is not South Korea. It is not North Korea. It is true north. True north is all humanity under Heavenly Parent. That is the true north, the magnetic compass that keeps the earth going. So these are 4 basic principles. And if I were to bring them into the area of religion, I would want to remind people what Father Moon says in the Divine Principle, which was absolutely genius, when he talks about the fact that if we have our expectations, perhaps idolatrous, right, but reverent from our scripture that Jesus is coming on the clouds and the Messiah will come on white clouds, we may completely miss his arrival because our expectations are so built on our own visions and our own self-indulgences and our own solipsism that the very hand of God will not be seen. So I would like to say something which may be considered radical, and I'm not afraid of it, and I'm happy to discuss it. All right. And there are always exceptions to the rules in certain cases. But there is a very dangerous thing that has been going on in religions for quite some time, which has turned them into religionism. Not religions, but religionism, which is a philosophy of religions, which is the confusion, lethal, I believe, between canonization and revelation. A canon, which is a sacred scripture that contains knowledge that is irreplaceable and has been inspired to be constructed in a certain form for a certain person, for a certain historical and spiritual purpose. Canons are critically important for the perpetuation of memory and for the continuation of a campaign such as One Humankind under Heavenly Parent. But a canon is not itself revelation. It is not itself. It can be claimed as such, and we'll discuss Islam second, and it must be discussed because they have a very particular view. The Rig Veda is also something that would need to be discussed. But in general, you cannot say that the motion of God or all beyond any human or mere human ability to encapsulate completely. No canon can be considered to be equivalent to a revelation, let alone the ongoing creation, or possibly with respect to people who are uncomfortable with the word, the creation or evolution of all life in the cosmos. Our confusion in religionism between canon and revelation must be qualified, and those canons are not just religious canons. They can be Das Kapital. They can be little red books. They can be any doctrinal statement that is considered to be so absolute that it gains authority over the living experience of life and redemption, which takes place every single moment. Every single moment. So if I were to distill all of this down on a tent on the DMZ, which is my dream, I'll be there and I will help cook. All right. And I will help put the plates out. I don't need to speak. I would rather just, handle the garbage and make sure everyone was fed. That's what I would really like to do. But I would sum it up as saying, when we approach anyone for the purpose of peace, let alone building peace, the holy daughter of peace, to build, that's what daughter means. When we approach anyone, we have to distill all this down into one simple thing. How can I be true to you without being false to myself? How can I be true to you without being false to myself? How can I speak to North Korea and be true to them and not be false to myself? How can a Jew do it to a Palestinian who wants to claim back their territory? How can I be true to you without being false to myself? If we approach every interaction with that question, which my mentor bequeathed me and asked me to continue that around the world, how can I be true to another without being false to myself? If we ask ourselves that, and we continue to ask ourselves, and we improve in the nuances and the subtleties of asking that question, we will heal. We will come together. It may be asymptotic. It may approach a limit ever so small that you can't even measure it, and there still may be a space, but we will come together, because being true to another person and not being false to ourselves is to love your neighbor as yourself. It is very simple, it is very biblical, and it is of Hebrew foundation, which is the root of Judaism and Christianity and Islam and our entire world, global, secular humanist culture, atheist or not. It is still based on Hebrew scriptures and the Hebrew concept of prophetic history, which is alive and well, especially at Chanwangung. So all I want to do is open that incredible womb. Thank you, Holy Mother. Thank you, Mother of Truth, for opening up a place which is not a state. It's a state of spirituality that everyone from any possible state, country, or nation can come and touch holy ground like Moses barefoot. So, thank you. That's my humble contribution to peace. And I'm there. Just
Thank
invite me.
you.
I'm there.
Thank you. Thank you, Toda. Thank you. Thank you, Michael. This was a profound moment of revelation and sharing, and so deep. We cannot bring idolatry to our coming together. And we must really understand that we are really number two. We have to come with knowing that knowledge is what we're missing when we have conflict. And number three, we have to really recognize we are all people. We are all people. We all fall short of the glory of God, and be real, and then be true to others without being false to myself. Wow. And there's other lines of thought in your presentation that are going to have to be written, discussed, and we're going to have another session just to discuss your sharing with us that experience. And I'm finding, Rabbi, so many people need to share what they experience at the Chunwan. You're sharing about it's a material prayer, and it's also we're being enwombed by Mother God, or God, our heavenly parent, and Mother Moon is bringing this in. It's really, really profound. Holy Mother Han, only begotten daughter. That's really a profound sharing today. We honor you. We thank you and your family. We thank you for bringing the root tradition to us, because I don't think that ever changed at all. That's what I found when I went to Israel, time and time again. And when we can understand that and appreciate it, God never forgets his first love. And that's really a deep, deep thing. We're all rooted in this. We're rooted in this deeply because it's God. It came from God. It's not a particular tradition, but it's God's word. It's God's gift to mankind through Moses and then beyond. So thank you. Wow, we have a lot to share. Unfortunately, our time is now run its course. But David, do you have any final thought you would like to share? And then Rabbi, one more thought, and then we'll conclude our program today. But thank you, David and Michael. I can't thank you enough.
Well, today,
Go ahead, David.
to Rabbi's point about finding the truth, right? because we're ignorant about so many things, which was Daniel Barenboim's idea about his orchestra. It's not a peace orchestra, it's an anti-ignorance orchestra. So if we can find the truth, then we can begin to solve the issues, right? So thank you. That's exactly, I think, what Barenboim was trying to get at. So thank you for that. That's very important.
Very good. And Michael?
Just, everyone's home can be a Chanwangung.
Yeah.
Every single home needs to have a Chanwangung kit to teach everyone how to do it. Let's create billions of them. And they don't need marble and a lot of, fancy architecture. They can be anyone's home. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Tomiko, thank you for this
Well, thank you.
wonderful program.
Yes.
I can't thank you enough. We will come back together, and I think we need to design a program again with just starting where we're ending here, where we can just go into discussion with many of the things that were revealed here. Thank you, Tomiko.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Shevek.
Thank you, Tommy.
Mentor.
Always. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you,
Shalom.
Reverend Jenkins. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you, everybody. Have a good afternoon and good evening. Thank you so much.
thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank
Bless
you,
you.
Rabbi.
God bless.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll be here Thursday for the interfaith prayer, and next Tuesday will be a program on Korea for one of the other associations. Thank you, everybody.
Wow.
Thank
This was
you.
the best.
Michael, I'm calling you right after
Thank
this.
you.
if we have time.
This
Thank you.
was the best.
Thank you,
Good,
Rabbi.
Rabbi. Good.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Miriam.
much. Great
Bye.
presentation
Thank you,
from both of you.
Gladna. Thank you,
Mhm.
Gladna. Reverend Gladna. Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Wonderful.